Welcome to another episode of the so-called Oreos podcast, the podcast where we discuss all the awkwardness, hardship, and hilarity that comes along with society labeling you white on the inside and black on the outside, also known as an Oreo. I'm Rachel Fowler, here with my co-host,
Kia Swinton.
Amari Pollard.
Janae Price.
Hey, it's lit.
God, that was
So this week's episode, we're going to talk about how COVID has made us reflect on our adulthood. And we've been in quarantine for 6 months now, guys. And I realized that the other day when I talked to my therapist, and I'm just like, there are some days when I wake up and I don't know what day it is. So the fact that we've been in this pandemic for 6 months, a lot has happened to us, and a lot has happened also in the world. And for the fact that we're gonna talk about in this episode, I think we have a lot to reveal and a lot that we've noticed, and the changes that we've made within ourselves as well. Yes, if you want to quickly go talk about what our goals, dreams, and priorities have they changed due to COVID.
Ooh. Well, yes. I mean, like, I feel like y'all's things, I feel like a lot of things, like, career-wise and goal-wise, you guys have had a lot more epiphanies than I have. Or, like, I think more things just have happened in career-wise. But for me, I think it's, sorry. For me, I think it's just that, like, and even through, like, your experiences and, like, watching you guys, I think it's just like, wow, life is too short to be spending it doing something I don't like. And I think COVID has, like, really put into, glaring view my own mortality, and I'm like, like, anyone can get infected, and, like, you don't know how you're going to, like, how your body's going to interact with this, and it's just like, how do I want to spend whatever time I have on earth, and what do I want to spend it doing? I'm still trying to figure out what I want to spend it doing, but I know I want to make sure that I like my job, especially if it's going to take up so much of my life. And, like, that's kind of just, like, been the epiphany. So I'm like, block out the people who say, like, your creative works won't, like, bring you any income. I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
And they're unhappy. So just, yeah, I think that's important. Janae, I'll let you go first, because I feel like mine's, like, a lot.
Okay, well, I've said it 96 times by now. I lost my job due to COVID. So that was definitely a blessing, I will say. And it made me, I don't know, I wasn't happy there. So, like, I lost my job and I was like, okay, was able to get severance and unemployment. And I don't know, just remap and retool, and refocus exactly what I want. And it also made me realize that, like, the way our economy is in the US and the way people are set up to work and live life is not good. And I definitely want to be able to have a job and have work, but it's not going to be my everything. Like, I think it just made me realize that, like, my job doesn't define who I am. And for so long, because I worked at a big brand company and a big name, I felt so proud of that. Like, that was like, I work at X, Y, and Z. And now it's just kind of like, that doesn't need to be my everything. So, yeah.
That's such a good point. Oh, shit. Wait, where did Rachel go?
Oh, she back.
Yeah, that's a good point, because, okay, I also got laid off at that job with Janae. And that time it was a little rough, because that was the first time I was a little younger, and it was just a lot to handle. And this time I also got laid off, and I really don't even think it was due to COVID. I think it's just because they wanted to restructure. And I think it's a little evil to restructure during a pandemic when you make billions of dollars. But that's just my opinion. And I think now that that's happened a second time, it just, like, I actually wasn't sad this time. I actually didn't cry at all. I was, like, I felt like a relief off my shoulders when it happened. Like, it was weird. And I swear, like, the month after that, it's been the happiest I've ever been. And it's not like I didn't dislike my job. I actually really liked my job, and I worked really hard to get there. But I think it's realizing that I need to take things into my own hands even more, where I've always been that person where, like, I'm not going to work this shitty corporate job, this 9 to 5. And that's why I do put a lot of time into like my studies, where I went to school for media and I did all these internships and I did radio, and I always was the one pursuing that. It wasn't just like some boring job. And like I did work very hard to go into talent and development, which is one of the most creative things you can do in terms of the corporate media sector. So it did hurt that got taken away, because there's not a lot of opportunity, especially in New York, for that. But I think it just solidified my ideas that I'm just not cut out for corporate, and corporate's not cut out for me. It's kind of mutual, and I'm okay with that. And I haven't been like actively pursuing a job, especially not in the media industry. And before I got to my my last job, I kind of like gave up on my dreams a little bit, where I was like, my goal is to be like a host, or, have some type of income for myself. And I think seeing it in the actual like industry, it just kind of like deterred me a little bit, because I saw how hard it was to do it. But then with this podcast, like, I'm like, wait, I'm actually am doing what I like. Like, I love the podcast. I put so much work into it. And like, I love putting so much work into it. I love that this is what I spend my time doing, and I want to do that full time. So it's kind of been like a little push for me, where it's like, okay, great, now I'm going to monetize the podcast. And then I think I'm also going to maybe do like a YouTube channel, because I'm like, I have time now. So this is what I want to do. And like seeing my best friend Bacola monetize her YouTube channel and like get a job at YouTube from her YouTube channel, it just kind of opened my eyes, like, oh, I should really actually like put a lot of energy into myself, and I will reap the benefits. And it's very positive to see like people coming to the podcast. And like, I'm not saying I don't know where things will take me. I'm hoping that I could just monetize the side projects, but if I have to, I will do like a tech job, just because I feel like media just hasn't appreciated me. And I think like getting laid off twice before 25, I don't think that should be common. And I hope that's not common for a lot of people. But it's just crazy, because I look at my resume and I'm like, wow, you would have thought like I would have not been here. So I'm just like, what, I'm not gonna let corporate politics decide if I have a job or not. I'm just gonna decide if I have a job or not, if that makes sense. Sorry, that was a lot. But that's just kind of how I'm feeling.
For me, it has shifted my priorities. I'm now focused on ownership and learning about, owning my own home one day, and also doing things that I love, aside from my job. Like, I enjoy the work that I do, but now it's like, okay, how can I improve and learn more skills, and even elevate, and to make more money doing what I'm doing. And that's what COVID has done for me. Like, my goals are the same, but it just has brought me to really focus on my goals and my priorities, and actually put work towards it. It's good to have a list of what you want to do. We can manifest, but if we're not putting the work towards it, then it's like, why are you putting yourself in this predicament? Why are you saying that you want X, Y, and Z? You want these things, but you're not going after it. So that's, for me, that's what I've been, dealing with, and putting that work towards my dreams and also my goals. For Amari, did you go?
Yeah, I did go, but I know these, like, I think our two prompts kind of like melded into one about like what we personally lost, and like, but I think like for a lot of us, like what we've lost has also like informed what we want our goals and priorities to be. But like one of the things I lost during COVID during April was my aunt. And so I lost the ability to then be able to attend her funeral and see her off. And I think there's just been, like, for me personally, a lot of like guilt around her passing, because literally every day during March, I kept on waking up and being like, I'm going to call Aunt Fleazy. And like, I just like never called her. And the day that my mom and I went to go call her was the day we got the call that she had passed away. So it was just like a lot of guilt around that. And I really credit her with like one of my goals growing up was to always be an editor at a magazine, and I was able to be an editor, a social media editor at a magazine, and a lot of that was because she gave me housing. Like I lived with her when I first moved to New York, and she took me in, fed me, gave me a whole nice room to myself, and never asked for anything in return. And so like I think I associate New York with her, and so it's really weird. Well, not the whole state of New York, but like very, very specifically Brooklyn, which is a place I love. So it's really hard, I think, to like think about like her house without her in it, and like also like I don't know how I would feel going in her house without her being in there.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh,
It's okay, Mari.
COVID's just like really sucks not having the ability to touch people you love and like think about touching them and like being like, oh shit, like do I have COVID? Do they have COVID? Like what's that gonna be? And then like not being able to even like physically like say goodbye to people you love. Like I had to like watch her funeral over Zoom, and it's just like a really impersonal experience. So yeah, I mean, I think it's put into perspective like, wow, like shit, like when someone comes to your mind, like call them, like just like call them. So yeah. Sorry guys.
no,
It's okay.
that's hard. Like,
Yeah, no.
it's hard if you've known this person your whole life and you have to like stream their funeral because the protocol is like there can only be so many people at a funeral. There's nothing you can do. But I think like give yourself a little grace with calling her, just because it's like you had no idea, and that was just a chance that she happened to go away at that day. But I don't think she would ever have any like resentment toward you. And when I saw my psychic, she actually brought that up because my aunt also passed away during COVID, and the psychic was kind of talking about how like, oh, your family feels like bad because they didn't reach out to her or something, but she wants you to know that like that's okay. So I don't know if you're into spirituality and psychics, but sometimes it does help to have that, whatever you believe in, to have some type of thing like what they're saying to you. But I think most of the times it's like, there's no resentment there. Like you would have no idea that was happening, and that doesn't take away the fact that you cared about her and loved her, and she felt your love when she was here on earth. So I just give yourself a little grace with that.
Yeah. I think like she wasn't a very like lovey-dovey person, but I think it's been helpful like knowing people who too were also really close to her, and just like them expressing to me like how much she appreciated our relationship, which like does mean a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. I guess I'll go next. I don't know. That's a lot.
Sorry to bring the mood, guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
I guess I can say that I am blessed so far. I don't think I've lost anyone in my family to COVID. We did lose my uncle's wife.
Oh yeah, she also didn't die of COVID. She died of other respiratory issues.
Oh, okay.
But COVID did.
COVID is a thing, yeah. We don't know what she died of. I think she had other issues that she died. It just sucks because my uncle was married to her since like, I don't know, it had to be like 50 years or something crazy like that. So that's all he knew and that's all we knew. And it was just crazy to like hear him cry like on the phone. And like my mom felt so bad because that's her brother, and the family lives in North Carolina. We couldn't go down there, and we're like, oh, we'll go in the summer, and it's still, you can't go in the summer. So it's like, I don't know when I'm going to see them. And like, luckily he has family down there, but it's tough because it's my mom's brother. She wants to be there for him and she just can't. In terms of other things, like I think when I look about what I want on paper, and I had this idea when I was in my early 20s, what I wanted in 25, and I was like, I want to be in a managerial role, I want to live alone, I want to have a long-term partner. And it's just funny looking back at the now because I'm like, oh, I have none of those things. But it's interesting because it's almost in a way moving back. So it's like, okay, now I don't have the apartment, I don't have a job, and I definitely don't have a partner. But it feels a way where it seems like a clean slate. Like all those things were kind of taken away or like removed from my life. but it seems like I have the ability to have a clean slate and kind of like turn that around. So like I'm like, okay, now I have the ability to like work on myself, work on my projects, monetize that, get a new job, get a new apartment, hopefully be able to date better people. And it's weird because it's like when I look at it on paper, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't have anything. But when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I actually feel really grounded and content right now because it's like in my own hands. Like I have the ability to like dictate what is in my life for the next 6 months, and I'm hoping that the next 6 months it's like a lot of growth, and I come out on the side where it's like, oh, I do have a lot of the things I've been achieving for. It's just that I had to like remove myself from all these situations to really work on what I want and pursue it. So that's kind of how I've been feeling. It's weird.
Just really quickly, something that I think I've lost. I already said my job, but on a less tangible level and emotional level, I'll say that like the sense of time. I think for me, for a really, really, really long time, it's been important for me to have a routine. And then I think I've kind of learned to reward myself because I have a routine. Like you did an entire day of work at your job today and you commuted. So now you deserve to watch a TV show. You deserve to eat something sweet or unhealthy. Like I think that very much so was how like the honor system in my brain worked. And now not having a job and not having like a tangible list of things to do every day has made me kind of question, well, have I done enough? Do I deserve to chill out? Do I deserve to watch a TV show? So I think I've finally gotten to the point where I'm like, bitch, you deserve because you're a human. Like you deserve because you're here. So for me, that's been like, it's been something that I've lost a sense of like having a set list and a set schedule. But I think in that I've kind of gained realizing that I don't necessarily need that and that I can dictate my own shit. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you deserve it.
For me, I feel like I've gained more than I've lost, and I'm grateful to say that I didn't really lose anything during COVID, well, during the last 6 months. But for me, I've just gained an understanding of like who I am, and also like what I want in life, and the woman that I want to be. And that has been very important for me because I'm still working on myself and things that has happened to me in my past, but um, I've just gained a little bit more clarity. And now that I have this clarity, then just me pushing myself even more to move forward. Because there are days where I'm just like stuck mentally, just like don't know what to do. I'm just like stuck. But then we do have to give ourselves grace, and we have to say, hey, I'm only human. And if you do want to just sit on the couch after work and just, sit and watch TV because your mind has been racing all day and you just need some time to just decompress and just sit alone and be by yourself, Rachel, then just do it, but then it's like, because I was telling my therapist the other day, I'm trying to get myself out of that cycle that I was just so used to since I was a child, because it was school, come home, do homework, go to sleep, wake up. It was like, and it's still today, work, after work, watch TV. So I was like, okay, I need to like get myself out of that cycle and do something different. And that's what I'm like currently working on right now. So that's what I gained during COVID.
I can also like piggyback on the gaining. Like I have gained so much. And I know that there are so many people who have lost things and like blessings and all the love your way. But I can honestly say from COVID, like I've been able to move back home, which has made me more financially stable. Like for the first time in my life, I have 2 savings accounts that are looking sexy. Like I have never in my life had one savings account that was looking sexy, like never. I've been able to spend tons of quality time with my family, just on like smaller levels. I started doing paint pours, which I felt really good about. I did my own like goddess twist, which I was like, what? She could do her own her. I've made some great breakthroughs in therapy, which I feel like could only happen because I had so much more time to think and digest and ponder life and all those things. I even like gained a booty for a half a second when I was biking a lot back home. So she was like popping and looking thick. And then I stopped working out, but I've started working out again. So yes, we're here, we're doing it, we're working on ourselves. So I feel like I've gained so much.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you know, I really do appreciate the time that I was able to spend with my parents, even though some of it was trying. I realized that, like, wow, this is the first time I've spent this extended period with my parents since college, when I would come home for like summer vacations. Maybe that was only in the beginning of college, because outside of that, I was interning. I've also gotten the chance to like make my apartment in North Carolina pretty homey, which also sucks because I'm like, my ass might not be here in a few months. But I've gotten to like put artwork up on the walls, and it just like makes it feel more personable and nice. And but also, like, while I've realized I really do, I've always been kind of like a homebody. So I think like I'm a homebody and I'm a germaphobe. So I think I've been preparing unknowingly for this moment in time. So I've been doing pretty well mentally. I mean, of course I do sometimes break down after like going through the same space over and over again. But I'm also starting to realize that like I like people more than I thought I did, and that I really do.
Wow, that is the opposite for me. Ooh, I'm like, I actually don't. I'm like questioning if I'm even an extrovert anymore.
You're like, I'm actually pretty okay not seeing you guys ever again.
Like, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying like all people. Like, I'm starting to realize that there were some people that I was seeing too much, that like now I'm like okay by myself. But I do realize that like I do gain energy. Like, even though I'm an introvert, I do need to see people and like gain that energy from those back and forths. And I like miss it. You know, like the year that, you know, I was so excited when Rachel moved to Atlanta, because I'm like, huh, I can drive down to Rachel all the time. We were like planning these regular weekend trips, and now I'm like, she's here and I can't see her.
Aw, you guys will see each other soon.
We will.
Well, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. Follow us on all social media at so-called Oreos, and you can email us at socalledoreos@gmail.com. Also, fill out our new survey. It's all on our social media. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. And please remember to like, rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Until then, bye.
Bye.